Welcome to class number 6 of basic electronics. So today we will start with the devices, and we'll start with the simplest device, which is basically the junction of a p-type and an n-type semiconductor. So let us consider that this is a bar of semiconductor, and we dope this entire semiconductor region with donut type impurities with Nd equals to 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube. So we dope this entire region with, let us say, 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of phosphorus atom. So this basically becomes an n-type semiconductor. Next, what we do is we dope this right part of this bar with 2 into 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of boron, let us say. Okay, so Na is basically 2 into 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube. Okay, so this region which is striped in black color, this region over here then becomes p-type because it has 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of donut type impurities and 2 into 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of acceptor type impurities. So this region over here becomes p-type, and then this region we had doped it at the very first time with 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of phosphorus atoms. So this region basically is n-type. So this region is basically n-type because we had doped the entire bar with 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of donut type impurities. But this region to the right is basically p-type because we have first doped it with 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of donut type impurities, and then we have again doped it with 2 into 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube of acceptor type impurities. So this region is basically p-type, and here the number of holes is approximately 10 to the power 15 per centimeter cube. Okay, so this is how a junction is basically formed, a p-n junction. So a p-n junction is basically nothing but a junction of a p-type and n-type material, and it is formed by the method, or it is fabricated by the method I just discussed right now. So we have n-type here, n-type semiconductor, and we have p-type semiconductor over here. Okay, so this is known as a p-n junction or metallurgical junction. Okay, now what will happen if this p and n type semiconductors are in contact with each other? So this n type semiconductor basically has a very high concentration of electrons in the conduction band, but there are no holes in the valence band. So here there is a high concentration of electrons in conduction band, but no holes in valence band. On the other hand, in the p-type material, there is a high concentration of holes in the valence band, but no electrons in the conduction band. Now, we already discussed that electrons or holes have the tendency to flow from the point of high concentration to the point of low concentration. Okay, so here this n-type material has a very high concentration of electrons in the conduction band, but the p-type material doesn't have any electrons in the conduction band. So when these two are brought in contact with each other, these electrons from the n-type material or the n-type semiconductor would diffuse towards the p-type semiconductor. So if the electrons from the n-type semiconductor diffuses into the p-type semiconductor, there will be a charge accumulation around this region. This charge is formed by the electrons that diffuse from the n-type towards the p-type semiconductor. Okay. Similarly, this p-type semiconductor again has a very high concentration of holes in the valence band. But this n-type semiconductor does not have any concentration of holes in the valence band. So again, because holes have a tendency to flow from the point of high concentration to the point of low concentration, these holes would basically flow from the p-type semiconductor into the n-type semiconductor. So the holes would be accumulated somewhere here near the junction, and holes carry a positive charge. So positive charge would basically be built up near the junction. Okay, so holes would diffuse in this direction, and let me show it here. Electrons would diffuse in this direction. Okay, so this region of accumulated charge, which is basically this entire region starting from here up to here, so this region of accumulated charge, that is this region, is known as the space charge region or the depletion region. Okay, so let me write it here. So this region of accumulated charge is known as the space charge region or the depletion region. Okay, now note that this depletion region is basically void of any mobile carriers. Why? Because in the depletion region, for example, from this region, the charge has already flowed, or the electrons in the conduction band has already flowed from this n-type to the p-type. Okay, so if the electrons have already flowed from the n-type to the p-type, how can there be any electrons in the conduction band? Similarly, from the p side also, these holes have basically flowed, the holes near the junction, that is, they have basically flowed from the p-type to the n-type, and that is how these charges have accumulated here. So if the holes near the junction has flowed from the p-type to the n-type, how can be there any holes in the valence band? Okay, so all the holes in this region have flowed into the n-type material. So all holes in this region have flowed towards the n-type semiconductor, and all electrons in this region, electrons basically mean electrons in the conduction band. Okay, all electrons in this region has flowed towards the p-type material. So since all holes in this region have flowed into the n-type material, there are no holes. And since all the electrons in this region has flowed to the p-type materials, there are no electrons basically. So that is why this region is known as the depletion region, in sense that this entire region is depleted of any mobile carriers. Okay. Now note that whenever we have charge in space which are separated from each other, or accumulated charge in space which are separated in each other, there is an electric field build up between them. For example, if I keep a positive charge here and a negative charge here, there will be an electric field which is directed from this positive charge to this negative charge. Okay, so whenever charges are separated in space, an electric field basically builds up between them. So here also we have accumulated charges which are basically separated in space, and so an electric field must build up, and the direction of the electric field is basically from the positive to the negative charge. That is what the direction of the electric field is, as I just stated, that if I have a positive charge and a negative charge over here, the electric field would be in this direction. So similarly, in this case also, since there is positive charge accumulated towards the left and negative charge accumulated towards the right, an electric field would actually build up in this direction over here. Okay, so this is the direction of the electric field over here, and to get the variation of the electric field in space, or to get an idea how the electric field varies in space, we can actually use Poisson's equation. So Poisson's equation basically states that del dot E is equal to rho divided by epsilon. Well, of course you know the quantities in this equation. This E is basically the electric field, rho is the accumulated charge density in space, and epsilon is basically the permittivity. Okay, so here we are assuming that this, let us consider that this direction is basically the x direction. Okay, so let us consider this direction to be the x, and this is y, and this direction is z. Okay, so along the y and z direction, this bar is basically uniform, so there is no variation in charge density if I move along the y and z direction. For example, if I move in this direction, I would not see any variation in charge density, or if I move perpendicular to the plane of this paper, I would see no variation in charge density. The only variation in charge density when I am going from this direction, entering the depletion region and exiting the depletion region here, this is the only direction in which the charge density is actually varying. Okay, so we will just solve the one-dimensional Poisson's equation here, because there is no variation in charge density in the other direction. So it is obvious that since there is no variation in charge density, there will be no electric field in those directions as well. Okay, so the one-dimensional Poisson's equation becomes dE dx equals to this rho divided by epsilon. Okay, and as we can understand that if rho is positive, if this rho is positive, dE dx is basically positive. So whenever this charge density is actually positive, the electric field should increase, and if the charge density is negative, dE dx is negative, so the electric field would actually decrease. Okay, so here, as we can understand that in the neutral region, which is this part, in the region where there is no charge density, there is also no electric field, because if there would be an electric field in this region, this would actually exert a force on the electrons and holes, not holes, but it would exert a force on the electrons in the conduction band. So the electrons would actually move around and a charge would actually develop. This region is neutral because there is no electric field over here. If there is an electric field, the charges would move around, and this would actually give rise to unbalanced charges here. Okay, so this neutral region just outside the depletion region, or the part of the semiconductors just outside the depletion region, is neutral, and there is no electric field over here, and similarly there is no electric field over here. So this electric field starts to develop as soon as we enter the depletion region. So if I plot this electric field versus distance here, the electric field is 0 in the neutral semiconductor, and then as we enter the depletion region, just as I stated, that if this rho is positive, the electric field is basically increasing because dEdx is positive. So electric field is increasing like this. It reaches a maximum over here, and then as we enter this region where these negative charges have accumulated, as we enter this region, dEdx becomes negative because this charge density rho is basically negative. So this electric field gradually start decreasing, and it gradually decreases to 0, and then this neutral p-type region starts. Okay, in this region again this electric field is basically 0. Now this is an intuitive explanation of how the electric field basically varies in this depletion region or space charge region. To remind you, this is basically our depletion region, the region of accumulated charge. And let me remind you again that the depletion region is basically uh, starved of any carriers. There are no mobile carriers in the depletion region. Okay, now we know that whenever an electric field develops or wherever an electric field is present, there is also a voltage or potential change associated with an electric field, because the potential is basically, or the difference in potential between 2 points, I should say, the difference in potential between 2 points is basically the difference in potential between point A and point B is basically the integral of the electric field from A to B, the negative of the integral actually. Okay, so wherever there is a electric field, there is an associated potential difference in space. Okay, and electrons basically have a negative charge, so the potential seen by the electrons is basically opposite in sign to the actual potential. Okay, so wherever the actual potential is positive, the electrons would see a decrease in energy actually. Okay, so the potential seen by the electrons or the energy seen by the electrons is actually the opposite of the actual potential. Okay, so if we consider the energy of the electrons, considering that the energy of the electrons is 0 in this n site, energy here means basically potential energy. So let me write it here for clarification. So if we plot the potential energy of the electrons, okay, then assuming that the potential energy is 0 in this n-type region, it is 0 here, and then as soon as it enters the region of the electric field, the potential energy of the electron start increasing. It increases up to this point, and when the electric field becomes 0, this potential energy basically saturates. Okay, if we now consider the actual potential, then the actual potential, I repeat again, is actually negative of the potential energy seen by the electrons. So the actual potential difference is basically this negative of the integral of electric field in space. So the actual potential varies like this. So when it enters the region of the electric field, it starts to decrease. It decreases up to the point of non-zero electric field. Now when the electric field becomes 0, this potential becomes constant. Okay, this potential difference between the p-type and the n-type material, this potential difference between the p-type and the n-type material is known as the built-in potential and is denoted by the letter V suffix Bi. Okay, so let me write it here. Due to electric field at the junction, a potential difference is created between the P side and the N side. This potential difference is called built-in potential, and this is denoted by the letter V suffix Bi. V suffix Bi is basically given by the equation kT by Q exponential log of NaNd divided by Ni square. Okay, I would not explain how this equation arrives, or I would not derive this equation here because this is not actually within the scope of the syllabus, but I will actually give you an intuitive idea of the parameters of this equation. So note that this equation increases with increasing of Na and Nd. Okay, and this equation also increases with increasing temperature. So I should explain why this basically happens so that you can get an intuitive idea of this equation. So if we increase Na or Nd, this basically means that the number of electrons in the conduction band in the n-type semiconductor over here, or the number of holes in the valence band in the p-type semiconductor over here basically increases. So if the number of electrons in the n-type semiconductor increases, this basically means that more electrons can now diffuse from the p side to the n side. So if the number of electrons in the n side increases, this basically means that more electrons can now diffuse from the n side to the p side. So if more electrons can diffuse from the n side to the p side, this depletion region now would contain more concentration of charges. Okay, this charge in the depletion region basically now increases. Okay, so basically if more electrons are available in the inside in the conduction band, more electrons would diffuse, and so the charge contained in the depletion region would increase. And similarly, if there are more number of holes in the valence band of the p type material, then more holes would actually try to diffuse from the p side to the n side, so the charge concentration in the depletion region in the inside would also increase. So an increasing charge basically means that the electric field would actually increase. If the electric field increases, this basically means that the potential or the magnitude of the potential also increases. Okay, the magnitude of the potential difference basically. So this VBI, this magnitude of this VBI basically increases with increasing Na and Nd. Okay, similarly, if the temperature increases, electrons actually find it more easier to flow from the p side to the n side, because when electrons are similarly, if the temperature increases, the electrons actually find it more easier to flow from the n side to the p side, or to diffuse from the n side to the p side, because when the electrons diffuse from the n side to the p side, they have to overcome this energy barrier, just as I discussed that this energy barrier is created, or this potential barrier for the electrons is basically created. So electrons actually have to overcome this difference in potential energy when they diffuse from the n side to the p side in this direction. So if the thermal energy increases, if the temperature increases, the electrons would actually find it more easier to actually absorb the thermal energy and overcome this energy barrier over here. Okay, so more electrons can now diffuse from the n side to the p side. Okay, similarly for holes also this is true. So the built-in potential basically increases with increase in temperature, because if more electrons diffuse from the n side to the p side, the charge concentration or the total quantity of accumulated charge in the p-type material would increase. And if the total accumulated charge in the p-type material increases, or the total accumulated charge in the n-type material increases, this basically means that the electric field, the peak electric field here, which is this point, also increases. And if the peak electric field increases, the built-in potential would also increase. Okay, so that's the intuitive sense of this equation over there. So let me repeat what I have just said in short. So whenever a p-type and an n-type material are brought in contact with each other, then the first thing that happens is electrons and holes diffuse towards the p side and n side respectively. A charge accumulation builds up, and the depletion region is created. Now I repeat that this depletion region is actually void of any mobile carrier, so there are no electrons or holes in the depletion region. Okay. The third thing that happens is an electric field builds up in the depletion region. Due to accumulation of special charge. And the fourth thing that happens is that a potential difference builds up between the p-type and the n-type material. Between the p side and the n side. Okay. Now note that we have not yet applied any voltage difference or potential difference across this PN junction.